So hello, Tudor. Are you with us?
Hi. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm with you. Hi. I'm great. How are you?
We're great as well. Where are you right now? If I
I'm
may
in
ask.
Bucharest actually right now. I am in Bucharest, yeah.
You're in Bucharest. Where
Yeah.
have you been lately?
Visiting Romania. Actually, I was a lot in my hometown because yeah, I have a lot of friends and family there, and that's in Transylvania. So I
You haven't
invite you
been
to
in,
visit
in,
there.
in, in Indonesia lately, right?
I was in Indonesia lately, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
I knew that.
You knew that. You
Yeah.
follow me on Polar Steps, maybe.
No, I'm just a mentalist, I
Yeah,
think
yeah, I know.
like
That's for sure. You look actually like the
how was the
Mentalist, you know that
experience there, by
series.
the way?
When I've been there,
How was the
uh,
experience there?
well, it
I'm
was a
just
great
seeing pictures actually.
it was really a great experience because I stayed 1 month there. So you can imagine 1 month just relaxing and
And sitting
watching the
upside
people there.
down, right?
Well, most of the times, yeah.
Okay, okay.
But not all the times because it's kind of tricky with the upside down there. But yeah.
Okay, okay, that's great. What's your favorite game?
My favorite game, well,
If you
I
don't have
can't
one,
wait.
no worries,
No,
Because I
I
just
have
have
a
a
lot of I have a lot of games actually that are my favorite, but I like a lot of strategy games, and of course I will say about Assassin's Creed and Valhalla. I can't wait to
I
be
thought so,
launched.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Right. So how is it to work in a gaming company? So you play actually games all day long, right? That's why you do a job.
yeah, that's for sure. We just play games. We are not doing anything else. No, we're
I
actually
imagine
building
that.
a lot of cool software. So a lot of cool tools and a lot of cool stuff. We're not just playing games. Some colleagues of mine are just playing games, but they are playing them in order to make sure that others have the best experience actually when they are playing the game. So yeah, but we are developing tools. We are developing a lot of cool softwares. We are working with a lot of technologies, with a lot of new technologies. And I hope I can just draw a picture of some of the tech that we are using in our projects.
All right. So Tudor, really happy to have you at Code Camp. Thank you for that. And should we
Thanks.
just go ahead with the
Yes,
presentation?
of course. Of
Okay,
course.
let's do that.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. Share, and I'm going to start my presentation. Okay, I think we are all set. So, hello again. I'm Tudor. I'm a senior software engineer at Ubisoft. And I want to talk to you today about a cool new thing. It's actually a topic about delivering software products. We are all delivering software products, and everybody is doing this. But when you sit in front of your workstation in the morning, then the one thing that you have into your mind is actually, I want to deliver a great piece of software, right? Well, that and maybe is my dog going to barge into the room, hopefully not during this presentation, or other pandemic-related issues that we've got now during these times. But basically, what we all want is to deliver great software. So how are we doing this? Well, we have three concepts that we are trying to follow right when we are starting talking about the project. And these concepts are about simplifying. Here in simplifying, I'm going to talk with you about our new project. It's something that it's not launched yet, but it's about a player community space. Also, another concept really important for us is aligning better. You can imagine that Ubisoft is a company that is delivering software for 30 years now. So the amount of tools, of services that comes on the road all the day is really high. So aligning better is really an important part of this entire job. And the last part, we're going to talk about going faster. What is this concept about going faster? Well, going faster usually comes as a benefit of simplifying and aligning better. So if you have these two concepts right from the start, then going faster comes on its own. But going faster is, on one side, it's about automating and having a stable infrastructure, and we are obtaining this by having cloud deployment. But going faster, you can obtain that by having the proper tools, the proper principles as a ground base that actually allows you to take faster decisions and to be creative and to not be afraid actually of failing in the end. So we usually have a saying about this going faster that where you can say that you have to fail fast, but also fail better in the end. So let's get started. Before I start actually with presenting you this project, and my entire presentation is focused on this example project, but you have to understand that these concepts are actually a mindset that we desire with all our projects. If we are talking about the game development, or if we are talking about tools that we are using and in order to make to offer a good experience, a perfect experience to our players, we always have these rules in mind. So the first concept is about simplifying. What is simplifying? We are not talking only about code here. Of course, when you are writing code, what's the point of simplifying your code? Well, the one point is about having cleaner code and having a clear vision, so having an understandable code. But this simplifying concept we are applying to the to our entire project. So when we are talking about the project, we are also, our desire is to always have a clear vision of the project, to always understand the architecture, to always understand the needs of the users in the end, and to always know exactly about how we can develop this and what are the ground bases of this project. The next part is about aligning better. So aligning better, it's, I told you, we are developing a lot of software, but when I'm developing a new tool, I don't want to also focus on authentication, on a lot of other tools. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, as we usually say. I just want to do my part and make sure that my part works so that other tools, other services in the Ubisoft ecosystem can really integrate with my tool. And we'll see more a better example in the next minutes. The last concept, going faster. Well, as I said, this is usually pretty simple and it comes as a benefit, but this is really about not being afraid of taking decisions. And we are an agile company and we are learning fast. And like I said, we want to fail fast, to learn fast, and to fail better. So these are the three concepts that we're going to talk about. And let me just start with the first concept, the simplifying. Well, when I'm talking about this concept, I want to apply it to one of our projects. So I told you it's the next player community space. So it's a project that's not currently launched. It's in intensive development right now. And it's a space where our players can engage more. So this is what I can tell on this moment about this project. But I can show you some numbers, and hopefully by these numbers you can understand how important for us the scalability is. So if you look at this number, you have a project that is serving millions of players, that of course is able to serve thousands of requests, or about 1,000 requests every second. And that is going to serve between 4 and 30 million page views every month. But this really depends on what kind of events we have in that month. So for example, if today we have the Ubisoft Forward, then we are expecting that these kind of services are delivering this kind of offload. So as many of you know, at Ubisoft, we are creating entertainment for millions of players. So every minute, every second of the day, players around the world are using our tools or services. So of course they want to have the best experience ever. So this is by looking at this number, we can understand how important it is to have a clear vision of the entire structure of a project, and why it is important that from the ground up we are structuring the project in a way that allows us to really offer this kind of experience. And now, because we are talking about structure, and because I'm talking about the next player community space, what we said in the beginning, we thought, okay, how can we make sure that the structure, the architecture of this project is built in such a way that we are simplifying the things? Okay, what does this mean? Well, we came with the idea to modularize everything. Maybe a lot of people are splitting code into libraries, into different modules. But what we thought is, okay, we shouldn't just modularize it on the code level. We should see each module as an own project on itself. So we should have our own development pipeline. So each project should have its own development pipeline. It should have its own deployment pipeline, testing procedures, and so on. So when I'm explaining to others how is this project built, I am often giving the example of a puzzle game. You know how the puzzle game consists of multiple puzzle pieces. So on this space, these are our puzzle pieces, and the goal of our goal is actually to build all this game. So if you look here on the details, we have a core application. It's a Node.js application. And why did we opt for Node.js? Well, for our needs, it was actually the best when it comes in terms of performance, but also when it comes when we speak about modularizing it and hooking up with different modules. And then we have for every part of the application different modules, and these are just some of it. But I just wanted to show you how, to make the understanding easier. So if we look here, the authentication module is completely different from the search module. This means that the entire development that I'm doing here, all the releases that I'm doing on this authentication module, is actually completely isolated, and it happens in a completely isolated fashion. And if you look on one of the development processes, we can see, and I gave here one of our examples. Well, for example, I want to build some new authentication layer or some new feature into the authentication module. Well, the development process implies that I'm committing all my changes. Some colleague of mine is, of course, reviewing them. But then I have a pipeline that's set up over GitLab in our case, but this is really something for this project. You can use Jenkins, you can use a lot of other tools, but basically the important part is here what's happening behind it. So in this process, we are building the module, we are making sure that it's buildable, we are making sure that we don't have syntax errors. We are running also tests on it, and at the end we are also publishing it. But this publishing means actually just tagging this puzzle piece. So at this point, we are just carving the puzzle piece out. We are preparing it for later usage. So by having something like this, by having a clear structure, by using these deployment pipelines, by using semantic versioning, these kind of tools and services are helping us actually having a clear vision on the product. So for me, as a developer, for the tester, for the stakeholders or the project manager, at every point it's really easy to see, okay, what are the differences between one module and the other, between the versions of the module, and they can also easily plan ahead the entire project. Okay, now let's look on the align better. Now, what is actually aligning better? And I told you that we are developing a lot of tools. We are developing now this player community space, But of course, we are having services that handle authentication, services that handle CRM. We have a lot of great games actually, and we have a lot of other tools. But at the end of the day, of course, we want that all these games, these services, these tools, they need to communicate with each other. And how are we doing this? Well, there are multiple ways in doing this, but I decided to present you 3 ways of how we are interconnecting our tools. So one is about having an eventing system, an company-wide eventing system that actually allows you to hook services one with the other. Another one is offering reliable APIs, and I'm going to talk about each of these in a few moments. And the third one is about connecting to monitoring and to analysis tools provided at the company level. So of course, I most probably will have my own monitoring and tools and my own tools that will help me watch the logs and so on. But at the end of the day, I also want my tool to be integrated into a company-wide service monitoring service that actually can keep an eye on what's happening with my APIs. So it's really important that I'm following some standards in order to integrate with these monitoring tools. Now, I spoke in the beginning about hooking into an enterprise eventing system, and I just want to explain this through this graphic, through this use case, to this use case. Basically, we know that nowadays there are a lot of laws also, but it's also very important that we are protecting users' data, and that we are making sure that when user wants modification of his data, that we are also removing all his data, or we are modifying it accordingly. But just imagine having I don't know, hundreds of tools and services, and each one of them is saving parts of the user data. Maybe some of them are really protected by GDPR, but maybe some of them not. But when a user requests his account deletion, of course we want and we have to ensure the user that everything is deleted from everywhere. Like, for example, the user requests the account deletion on the CRM service. Now, okay, the one way to do this would be that the CRM service would hook into, for example, our new player community space and would request the user deletion from there. Then he would connect into the search APIs, into a lot of other APIs. But doing something like this would mean wouldn't really mean a waste of resources, because the CRM services would need a lot of integrations with all the tools out there. So what we are using is actually a global eventing system that allows the communication of this message, the transmit of these messages between the two services. So what actually is happening? The user request is packed into an envelope, the global eventing system is processing these messages, and then the consumer, so in our case, the player community standard, player community space, is listening to this event, and then he can act accordingly. So he can remove the user data on our side. Now, the player community consumer is not interested about what the other consumers are doing, of course. What it's important for him is that he's doing his part in this entire story. So this way, by having such a global eventing system, we can make sure that two softwares are aligned. And these two softwares, so the CRM service on one side and the consumers on the other side, they only have to respect the standard of this global eventing system. So to understand how these messages are transported. So this was the one way of aligning better. But the other way is on the API levels. Now, of course, on API levels, I'm not going to go into the details of how the APIs work and so on, but for us was important that on the API level, we are aligning on the authentication part, for example. Now, again, having, for example, a search API and a CRM API, and having them both with their own authentication mechanism and and their own payloads and endpoints, and maybe one communicates through headers, maybe the other one through JWT tokens, and so on. This would imply a lot of confusion, and this would come with a lot of complexity. So what we said, okay, the authentication layer needs to be completely isolated in some way, and that authentication layer should be really developed in the most secure way possible. So how my API is working when it comes so when I want to do a search API request, I first obtain this authentication key, and then with this authorization key, I can just perform my subsequent calls to the search API. Now, the search API is taking this key and he's using the same authentication API in order to validate these keys, to make sure that they aren't expired, to make sure that, of course, the user has the right roles, privileges, and so on. So by having this kind of logic, this kind of setup in place, we again are making sure that our services are aligned better, and in this example, at the level of authentication. Okay, so we saw about simplify, and we saw that having a clear structure on our clear architecture structure is helping us also having a clear vision. Also, we saw that through different processes, like, for example, an eventing system or on authentication on API levels, we saw that we can obtain software that are aligned better. But what about going faster? Now, I said in the beginning that going faster is not only about automation and cloud deployment. It is about this, but automation and cloud deployment, it's also only possible if you have and if you follow a set of principles. If you follow a set of principles that you respect from the beginning. So what are these principles? These are only some parts of it, but keep in mind that these ideas we have in mind from the beginning. So right from the moment we start developing a project, we are always keeping these things in mind. We are always, for example, saying that we want our software to be up to date. Now, why is this important? Well, we are all using third-party tools, or we are all using something like I don't know, MySQL, Mongo, Redis instances. We are using maybe frameworks like Angular, React, and so on. So the weight of tools that the developers in Ubisoft is using is really, really high. But what's important is to always have tools that are up to date, because I want to avoid the situation where I'm developing my player community space, and then I don't know, let's say just for the sake of the example that we would use React for the parts of the project, but at some point, for example, I'm not being able to update the React to the latest version because I did some core modifications, and now I'm not able to pull the latest security fix from React. Now, of course, we want to avoid these situations. Another principle, or other principles that we want to respect right from the beginning, is about following standards, following web application standards in case of web applications, following security standards, data encryption standards, and actually making sure that we are always setting up the best ground base for our application. Now, how are we obtaining parts of these things? Well, as you most probably imagined, we are using Docker, and we are using Docker pretty intensively. And we came up with the idea, or we decided actually to go with a Docker setup right from the lowest level, and I mean here right from the developer machine. and up to the production instances. And why are we doing this? Well, Docker is not only good for deployment. It's not just helping you deploying faster, but it's actually really helping you for the development part, for making sure that you are discovering potential bugs already on your own machine. Like, for example, let's say I want to just update the database version. Well, we have defined or set up in such a way that on my local machine, I have replica of what I have also in the production machine. So of course the database are on a much smaller scale, but basically I'm using the same versions, I'm using the same architecture, the same setup and the same configuration as on our testing and production machines. So this is something that helps us helps us really good with keeping the software up to date, but it also helps us ensuring some standards. For some of the standards is like OWASP. So for example, when I'm developing some file upload, then of course I want to make sure that I'm having malware check in place. I'm checking the files for with an antivirus and so on. So by implementing all these standards and together with Docker setup, we are setting up the ground base for going faster. Another principle is really about deploying the entire project. And I have told you in the beginning about this puzzle game, and we have carved out puzzle pieces. Now this is how we are putting all these puzzle pieces onto the game board. But putting everything onto the game board, this means actually also its own deployment and its own process. Of course, I can't just throw the pieces there and hope that everything goes well. I'm doing this and I'm performing some automated tests, some automated steps that ensure that my application is buildable with the set of pieces that I've configured. That my application is that the tests on my application are running all okay. So basically, it's for me as a developer, as a project manager, as whatever, it's really important that I'm delivering a software to our players that are actually ensuring the best experience that they can have. And here in this graphic, I tried to, it's a very minimalistic representation of our infrastructure. But what's important here is actually that at the point, so at the click where I'm deploying my new authentication module, the new version of my authentication module, we are actually deploying the entire infrastructure. And we are deploying an infrastructure and a code that was previously tested completely, that was going through a set of processes that ensured that that I'm delivering quality software. Now, from this graphic, you can maybe understand that we are having multiple availability zones, and of course, beside this, we are using data replication, and of course, we are encrypting the data because it's really important to secure all the user information, and not only, but we are encrypting all the data on transfer and on rest. So basically, when we are talking about going faster, when we are talking about Dockerizing our services or tools and so on, and when we are talking about following security standards, having a fast deployment, the one thing that we have in mind is to build a disaster resilient software and infrastructure. So that I don't care if some availability zone, I don't know, somewhere in Frankfurt is not responding anymore, when God forbid that happens, because this could mean that something worse happened there. But basically, I want to make sure that my software is reachable at all the times. So just to wrap this concept up, we see that we are obtaining this ground base by following some principles, by following some security standards. And why is this important to go faster? Well, go faster is not just about developing code faster. It's not just writing fast code and just putting it somewhere. It's actually about, like I said in the beginning, being not afraid to take decisions, to be sure that behind your decisions, that there are actually processes and software and tools that sustain, that give you the needed insurance to make sure that nothing is failing, or if something is failing, that you have the right leverages to roll back or to quickly fix your mistake. We're reaching out now the end of my presentation. I just want to do a recap. So in the beginning, we talked about simplifying. Simplifying is really the base concept when we are talking about developing and delivering software projects. And simplifying means having a clear software structure. And we saw that we can obtain this by having, for example, in our case, a modularized software architecture. Now, the second one is about aligning better. And you know, we are developing a lot of games. We are developing a lot of services. By the way, now at Ubisoft Bucharest, we are developing one AAA game that is unannounced. So it will be a big cool game actually. And the things that are happening now at Ubisoft Bucharest are also happening in Montreal, in Paris, in San Francisco, and so on. So there are a lot of people that are developing tools. So of course, the idea is to integrate all these tools and to make sure that we can connect all these tools together. The last concept is about going faster, and we see that by having a reliable cloud architecture and by having the proper tools in place, we can see that we can take decisions faster. We can deploy faster. I don't know if you noticed, but our deployment time was about 6 minutes. And actually, on these days, we are working on improving that even more. So we can take really fast decisions. We are not dependent more on other resources, on, I don't know, server administrators, and so on. We have better automation tools in place that allow us to take these decisions faster. So thanks a lot for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward for your questions.
Hello, Tudor.
Hi.
I'll check the questions a little bit later, but for now, I personally have a question. So okay. I'm going to share my screen, if possible.
Yes.
Look at me. Look what I'm doing. I'm entering the website. I'm navigating to the agenda and to the partners and to your page. And here we've got a quiz. Quiz. You know, there's a quiz here. Do you want us to take the quiz?
We can take the quiz. I hope I'm okay with filling it.
So you'll be the rock solid guy among us, because I have no clue about Kubernetes, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard that Kubernetes. I know that Kubernetes was a big topic this day.
Exactly.
And it is really interesting.
So
I would say that kubectl would allow you all the answers are correct.
Okay. Look, if you're answering correctly, I'm winning some games.
You're winning games. Okay. From my side, it's everything okay.
Assassin's Creed, so that's my.
Well, you're not just winning a game; you're winning a great game, actually.
Okay. Oh, look, I've just lost. Yeah, let's take it again. Okay, all right.
Okay.
I remember.
Show me the question first.
No, you have to answer without knowing the question. That's the deal.
Okay.
Okay, about Docker. Oh, so look, we have Docker today also. So Tudor, I was just joking, really. So we don't have.
I can feel it out. I actually like a lot speaking about Docker, and with Kubernetes we are also playing around a little bit. But I encourage everybody.
Can you tell me more about that? Because I was not sure if it was me not being attentive to the presentation, or you didn't mention about
Kubernetes.
Yeah, another tooling.
Well, on this project that I was talking about, we are not using Kubernetes, but I know that we are using it at Ubisoft for other tools. Like I mentioned, we are using it a lot. I know that with Kubernetes, so when people hear about it, they are kind of afraid because it's a lot of setup. I have a lot of time to say, okay, I'm not anymore a software engineer. I'm a config engineer because I'm setting up Terraform YAMLs, I'm setting up Kubernetes configurations and so on. So the thing is that maybe the first steps when you start with Kubernetes are a little bit harder until you understand how nodes work and so on. But afterwards, you see that actually it brings a great benefit on the project. So I really encourage people to use it more. And if you didn't start it with Docker, then I think it's really the right time now to start with Docker.
Okay, okay, that's great. So Tudor, anything else you would like to share with us today?
Well,
any random thoughts? I mean, Indonesia or
random thoughts, Indonesia. Yeah. No, actually, I just want to say that when you, so I showed in the beginning when we are starting these projects, and I told about all these concepts and all these ideas that we are having. I think it's really important that for me as a developer, is really important the first part, the simplifying part. So from the having a clear code, and I always, when I'm talking to colleagues that are starting right now, I'm always explaining them, okay, why is it important to have the things simple? Well, because having things simple, it's actually also guaranteed that you're developing something that's for the future, you know. And I saw this on my code. Actually, I looked at my code for 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and I said, oh, what the hell did I did here? So by just, I don't know, having a clear vision of the entire product, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about big products now, big projects that have to serve thousands of requests every second, or maybe it's just a simple web application that has one user only. If you want to deliver something cool and you want to learn and you want to be able to be creative, I think having some principles in mind from the beginning really helps you obtaining all these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not really something about Indonesia, but I think I could hook this up also with the Indonesia topic.
Yeah, maybe next time you'll do the talk from Indonesia.
Yes, definitely.
Who knows?
Well, hoping that we can get back to Indonesia soon now with the pandemic, but yeah.
Okay, okay. So Tudor, it's been a real pleasure to have you at Code Camp. And we're really looking forward to the next Code Camp. Maybe we will have you back, actually.
Yeah, and yeah, hopefully also in person, and so
sure.
we will be able to also, yeah, to meet also the others and to have really a talk after the talk after the talk.